For my entire life, I've watched the corporate media sell us war after war, after telling us who our enemies are, which countries need saving and which government should be overthrown. And every single time it turns out they lied. Council tax to rise across England as austerity hits hard. Now, if you recall, not long ago, Theresa May said she was going to end austerity. So if she could end it just like that, why is it still here? Because they're using it as a weapon against us. Chronic underfunding forces cuts to services including social care, roads and libraries. Almost all councils couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery in England, plan to increase council tax from April, and 3/4 intend to raise it above 2.75, research reveals. The maximum rise allowed without a local referendum is 2.99%. Similar proportions plan to raise charges and fees. Despite council tax bills soaring, many residents face further cuts in services. Most councils warn that they would be reducing a range of services from adult social care to libraries and recycling. The annual survey by the Local Government Information Unit think tank found that cuts were increasingly visible, and that after 8 years of austerity, which has costing English councils 40% of their central funding, half the councils felt cuts were now negatively affecting relationships. It's a weapon they're using against us, along with many other weapons they're using against us. So let's get it straight now then. Councils do nothing for us at all. Yeah, someone comes around and empties a bin. So what? Anyone could do that. If that's the only thing they do, because it doesn't go to police, don't go down there. Council tax is used for their pension funds only. All this is covered by the government paying the councils so much to keep everything going. So austerity is a weapon they're using against us. No one should pay it. If everyone stopped paying, it'd collapse immediately. Alex BRUMMER, understanding how the culture of the banks broke down has never been fully explored. How extraordinary that more than a decade on from the financial crisis, evidence of abuse is still emerging. The allegations that Lloyds Bank conspired with turnaround outfit Barron's Mead to push property firm Angel Group into administration is deeply worrying. It provides a sharp reminder of how slothful the progress is in drawing a line under the unscrupulous behaviour of the banks during and after the crisis. It would be nice to think that with the banks expected to unveil healthy profits in the next 10 days or so, the chief executive might offer a mea culpa instead of hiding behind a smokescreen. The banks, they're all corrupt, Rothschild owned, every single one of them. Theresa May's advice to eat mouldy jam could expose families to unseen toxins, says Food Standards Agency. So she's trying to get you to kill yourself by eating mouldy food. Theresa May has gone against advice from the Food Standards Watchdog by admitting that she scrapes mould off the top of jam and eats the preserve underneath. The Prime Minister revealed her tip for making jam last longer during a decision with her cabinet minister on cutting down on food waste. Once the mould is removed, Mrs May said, the remainder preserve is perfectly edible. She added that food shouldn't necessarily be binned if it weren't past its best before date. She clearly hasn't got a clue what she's talking about. Former Dutch PM calls Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal who should be tried in The Hague. Dries van Acht said the Israeli leader should go straight to the International Criminal Court. I couldn't agree more. Former Dutch Prime Minister Dries van Acht has described Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a war criminal who should be tried in the International Criminal Court in The Hague. His comments come ahead of Mr Netanyahu's visit to the Netherlands this week. Speaking to Dutch television channel NPO1, Mr van Acht said, "There's a war criminal coming to this country." Some honesty. Well, that's what I like to see. And now some cover-up. Supreme Court rules against exposing Israel's role in Bosnian genocide. Citing potential damage to Israel's foreign relations, the Supreme Court rejects a petition calling to reveal details of the government's arms exports to the Serbian army during the Bosnian genocide. Israeli Supreme Court last night rejected a petition to reveal details of Israel's defence exports to the former Yugoslavia during the genocide in Bosnia in the 90s. The court ruled that exposing Israeli involvement in genocide would damage the country's foreign relations. I think it's damaged enough, to such an extent that it would outweigh the public interest in knowing that information and the possible prosecution of those involved. That's what it's about, protecting those involved. The petitioners, attorney Itai Mack and Professor Yari Oron, presented the court with concrete evidence of Israelis' genocidal actions. How to lawfully expose 5G and smart city plans and hold your council to account for your loved one's safety using the Freedom of Information Request template. And there's it's www.smombie.gate.org and saveusnow.org. All United Kingdom and Commonwealth residents can use the FOI request form as a template to send to central government, fourth sector organisations, public entities, local district and county councils, police and all emergency services to understand their 5G, GSM, Wi-Fi and smart device plans, strategies and implementations, such as LED street light systems that we now know are being used as the method of deploying 5G in a town near you, totally under the radar, in particular secret and without so far as we can see any understanding of safety regulations for this 5G technology. The FOI will give you and your own community a national insight into how well resourced your council is, how they are giving you giving your money to, and how much you are being left in the dark about by these unscrupulous company suppliers. Please make sure you change council for your council or entity. If you're using a word type package, you can edit, find, replace, type. Yeah. Links in description. There's a template for you to send to the as it's just said, send to everyone, and maybe we'll expose them. Because don't forget, if the council's giving money to these bastards, where's that coming from, and why are they doing all these cuts if they're giving money to them? You're not going to wake anybody up anymore. We're basically at endgame. There are things that are about to start happening everywhere that's going to freak the shit out of people. Back away from trying to wake them up. They're comfortable asleep. They're where they want to be. And unfortunately, as it is, when the crap does hit the fan, they're going to look around and say, what the f... We tried waking them. They just don't want to listen. Devon is shamed for failing children with special needs and disabilities by having significantly weak services. Devon County Council, one of the responsible for ineffective care, has apologised to families who have experienced a poor service, admitting it's unacceptable. Devon is failing to meet the needs of children and young people with special education needs and disabilities, and a lack of support is impacting on them and their families. An inspection report has highlighted significant areas of weakness, which in some cases has led to children to be placed in inappropriate education provisions or not attending school for significant amounts of time. It has highlighted how vulnerable children have not been getting all the support they need, and education, healthcare, staff failures. Basically, it sounds like they're just saying, oh, they've not been to school, so we've not been able to indoctrinate them as much as we have the rest of the kids. Talking about indoctrination. School pupils issue fake parking tickets to tackle pollution. Tameside Head comes up with an idea after noticing increase in asthma among children. Right, what this is all about is indoctrinating the kids into thinking them things are normal, and anyone can give them out. Just put a yellow vest on and you can give them out. Primary school pupils in Greater Manchester have started patrolling the streets outside their schools as uniformed junior police officers, indoctrinated, issuing fake parking tickets to parents parked on the pavement or sitting there with their engines running. The junior PCSOs, police community safety officers, were the brainchild of Steve Marsland, no doubt common purpose graduate, the head teacher of Russell Scott Primary in Denton in Tameside, after he noticed a huge increase in the number of children with asthma. Wow, yeah, it must be the cause. Couldn't possibly be the geoengineering that's going on above our heads, could it? What you mean, in the past 20 years, since this geoengineering started, the asthma rate's gone through the roof? Oh, I wonder if one's affecting the other. What do you think? 18 months ago, he started to use an inhaler after having trouble breathing dangerously polluted air. With the school located less than a mile from the M67 and M60 motorways and the busy A57 nearby, it came as little surprise last year when the air pollution levels were found to be bad. It's all about indoctrinating the kids. Home Office using low-paid temporary workers to make life or death decisions on human trafficking. Ministers accused of failing modern slavery victims by advertising crucial decision-making role at a junior rate of pay and low level of experience. The Home Office has come under fire yet again. Fresh criticism over its commitment to trafficking modern slavery because they're involved with it. After it emerged, the Department of employing temporary workers on low pay to make crucial decisions after trafficking cases. An online job advert for National Referral Mechanism, decision maker, a role responsible for deciding whether individuals referred to the government's trafficking identification framework are genuine victims. Told you, councils, governments couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery. By design. Black cab drivers make High Court challenge to Uber's London temporary operating licence, claiming judge was biased because her husband links to taxi app firm. You mean something in the judicial system's not right? Something may have swayed them? They may be biased? We know that. Corrupt bastards, the lot of them. The United Cabbies Group Limited is challenging the order granted on June 2018. It claims Chief Magistrate Emma Arbuthnot was tainted by actual apparent bias due to the allegations claiming her husband has financial connections to taxi firm. The judges are set to give their ruling on the licence challenge at a later date. So we're thinking the best way we can cover her ass, because we know that yes, she was biased, but we ain't coming out with that. We're going to cover her ass and carry on as normal. Black cab drivers are challenging Uber's temporary operating licence in London, claiming the judge was granted it was biased. The United Cabbies Group Limited, UCG, which represents Hackney carriage drivers in the capital, has made the complaint against Chief Magistrate Emma Arbuthnot. It claims the judge who granted Uber a 15-month permit in June was tainted by actual or apparent bias when she granted the licence due to her being married to Lord Arbuthnot, who is alleged to have financial connections to the taxi firm. The licence has been granted on a probationary basis at Westminster Magistrates Court in June last year after Transport for London refused to oppose it. Hungary tells UK Jewish group to mind its own business over anti-Semitism. President of Board of Deputies of British Jews and has raised concerns over stance of Hungary PM and government. A Hungarian government minister has accused a senior representative of British Jews of politically motivated lying, telling her to mind your own business following a meeting in which she raised concerns about anti-Semitism. The Secretary of State Václav Babojnitsky wrote to Marie van der Zijl, the president of the Board of Deputy of British Jews, this week to take issue with the board's account of a meeting between the pair. The board said the meeting, which took place on 8th of February, was an important opportunity to raise a number of the BOD's long-standing concerns directly with the Hungarian government, including the use of anti-Semitic tropes and moves to downplay the role of historic Hungarian bullshit. if it's they mention Zionist, you know it's a they mention that anti-Semitism, you know it's a Zionist tool. I am not a puppet. EU war on words erupts as Italian PM rejects Verhofstadt's claims. Italian PM Giuseppe Conte has hit back at claims made by the chief EU lawmaker that he is a puppet of his country's coalition party leader and declaring the bloc has lost contact with its people. No, he's actually connecting with his people. It's the rest of the EU scum-sucking bastards that have no idea. Well, they do. They know exactly what they're doing, trying to bring in the dictatorship. The EU Parliament witnessed ill-tempered exchanges between Conte, who was making his debut speech, and leading MEPs Guy Verhofstadt addressed the PM, saying he regrets Italy has gone from being a big defender of Europe to the back of the line, bowing what he sees as the political degeneration of Italy. Verhofstadt accused Conte of being a puppet of the five-star movement Luigi Di Maio and the Northern League's Matteo Salvini. He also claimed that Italy at times behaves in an anti-European way, openly spiteful against other member states. They want the best for Italy. If we had politicians like that, this country would be a hell of a lot better, but as it is, it's just a hell. China cancels trade talks with Britain after warship threats by UK Defence Secretary, or well, he's more likely known, Minister of War. Yes, Gavin Williamson, the child that thinks he's a man and for some reason has been given a job to try and cause war. That's what his job is entitled to. UK Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson has reportedly instigated a huge row at the heart of government after threatening to send a warship to the Pacific, prompting China to withdraw from trade talks with Chancellor Philip Hammond. China's Deputy PM Hu Chuhu, who was expected to hold talks with Hammond this weekend, has now dramatically pulled out of the engagement after Williamson menacing remarks on Monday. According to The Sun, the Defence Secretary said the UK must show China the high price of aggressive behaviour. So what he's decided to do is send an aircraft carrier that's got no aircraft on it, no defensive ships, into the sea, and that's supposed to scare the Chinese, who have a massive fleet of all types of ships and air force. Can you see how childish Williamson is? He should be sent back to school to learn his lesson, because he certainly hasn't. Police are trained to hide vital evidence. Full extent of disclosure failures laid bare. The scale of the failure by police and prosecutors to disclose vital evidence in criminal cases is exposed today in documents showing that such behaviour is routine and deliberate. A dossier seen by the Times revealed a commonly held view that the defence is not entitled to see all the evidence. It discloses the tactics used to stop it being handed over, with officers in at least one force apparently trained in how to avoid making available material that might undermine their case. In other words, if there's evidence that proves that who they're going after is innocent, we'll withhold it and hopefully get them sent to prison. That is a dictatorship. Farmer wants every senior on statin drugs as corporate media seeks to silence doctors exposing the cholesterol myth. Cholesterol-lowering statin drugs are a $100 billion a year industry. Lipitor was by far the most profitable drug in the history of mankind among all pharmaceutical products, let alone being the most profitable cholesterol drug before its patent expired at the end of 2011. Sales to date from this one particular cholesterol-lowering statin drug have exceeded 140 billion. Lipitor benefit from the change in marketing laws in '97 that allow pharmaceutical companies in the US to advertise their products directly to consumers. Pfizer convinced an entire generation of Americans that they need a pill to lower their cholesterol in order to prevent heart disease, in what may go down as one of the most brilliant and unethical marketing schemes of all time. After Lipitor's patent expired at the end of 2011, the FDA issued a first warning against statin drugs, which include liver injury, memory loss, diabetes, muscle damage, among others. Thousands of lawsuits against the makers of the Lipitor followed. As we have reported many times over the years here at Health Impact News, the cholesterol theory of heart disease is not well supported by science at all. In fact, much of the science states that cholesterol is an important part of our health, and contrary to popular belief, those with the highest levels of cholesterol actually live longer than those with lower levels of cholesterol in their blood. So it's another depopulation tool. Revealed the 189 police officers. Remember, there's the links in description if you want to read these full articles. The 189 police officers convicted of crimes including murder, child pornography and drug dealing since 2013. They are paid to protect the public and uphold the law, but dozens of police officers have been found guilty of a string of serious crimes since 2013, including murder, sexual assault and child pornography. Figures obtained under Freedom of Information requests show there have been 189 convictions across 12 police forces over the past 5 years. The police service, Northern Ireland, had the worst record, with 57 officers committed by serving offences committed by serving officers, including possession of loaded firearms, among many other crimes. But that's what you expect from a corrupt police force, which is all that we actually have left now, is a corrupt police force. They're to look after themselves, basically. Doctors admit vaccines are harmful and turn our immune system against us. Natural News. The World Health Organization, WHO, recently included vaccine skeptics, people who are hesitant to vaccinate themselves or their children because they are concerned about their potential health risks, on their annual list of global health threats, along with serious dangers like superbugs, climate change, the Ebola virus, HIV and air pollution. The WHO claims that vaccine hesitancy increases the risk of a resurgence of disease they claim are fully preventable through vaccination. That's utter bullshit. Vaccines have never done anything, never wiped out any disease. The biggest thing that wiped out disease was when we sorted the water system out, sanitary. That changed everything. That was a game changer, not any vaccine. Universal Credit staff consider strike action after being treated with contempt. PCS member ballot for strike action over severe underinvestment, staff shortage and criticism from claimants on how they are treated. Well, it really is falling to bits for the criminals in Parliament, isn't it? Hundreds of staff working on the UK government flagship Universal Credit Scheme are considering industrial action over several underinvestment, staff shortages and criticism from claimants and how they are treated. Close to 700 universal credit case handlers working at centres in Wolverhampton and Warsaw are to be balloted by the Public and Commercial Service Union, PCS, for potential strike action. Strike. Bring this frigging shitty government down. Zoo safety failures revealed. Dozens of UK wildlife parks cautioned for failing to properly carry out escape animal drills at islands. Weak fences, the big cats are unlocked snake enclosures among safety lapses around Britain. DEFRA accepts zoo licence needs improvement. Striking for change. Pupils skip class for climate protest. That bullshit. Look up Lord Christopher Monckton. He's exposed that for the fake news that it is. Newport versus ministers forget no deal. Brexit. 11th hour agreement likely. Rachel Johnson on naked protest. Roger Allen plus lullaby authors. Express. How Wonder Drug gave our girl her life back. Yeah, I don't believe it. Never let jihad bride walk out our streets again. Trump's Brexit boost for Britain. At last, May gets some good news as US pledges massive trade deal after EU exit. We've won 1 million lottery jackpot. Guardian. Children take to the streets in UK-wide climate strike. They've been brainwashed into believing that bullshit. There is no climate change. It's natural. It's been going on for thousands of years. But these bastards think, well, let's scare them, or we can keep control of them then. More than 10,000 young, indoctrinated idiots missed school to take part in a national protest. Disruption to lesson time Damaging pupils, says Downing Street. It's just an indoctrination process anyway, so it's not damaging anything. Parents of women killed by Novichok break their silence. Yeah, well, let's see if we can blame the Russians for something. Waste of paper star. We got top and 1 million lot. We're off big weekend racing. New agony face actor. Corrie Starr to blame for girl's death, drug death. Lover says parents stopped him carrying her to medics. Absolutely waste of paper that is. The Times. Brexit, no bullshit. We voted leave, not Brexit. I want my baby with me in Britain, says ISIS bride. Well, you should have thought about that before you went on and became an ISIS bride, shouldn't you? Pregnant Shamimi Begum fears child will be taken and tells of love for jihadist husband. Brexit abuse forces MPs to move house. The scum. David Williams, you know, he likes to go to the President Club and debark women. Yeah, so don't buy any books or anything to do with that piece of shit. At least I wouldn't. Some puts up 10,000 reward on Libby. Exclusive Bake Off Paul's lover and ex in bust up at M&S. Chocks wants some. The Daily Telegraph. Meghan or Diana? Well, one's dead and the other one's a parasite. MI6 chief, ISIL defeat won't stop its threat. Warning over returning British jihadists as Trump prepares to declare end of caliphate. Wilson's right-hand woman lady Faulkner's dies. Former Canadian High Commissioner accused of sexual assault. See, they're all at it. All at it. Mirror. Our 1 million baby. Ant to Piers. Don't mock the mentally ill. Britain Got Talent host swipe at Morgan over rehab jibe. Daily Fail. At last, banks to pay fraud victims. Really? Really? I doubt that for a second. I'm proof jihad brides deserve a second chance. No, you're not. Anything but independent. Politicians ignore this ISIS for too long. No, they backed them and paid for them, you moron. Let's support pupils in climate activism. No, because there is no such thing as climate activism. Remember, it was global warming, then they had to change it to climate change because it was getting colder over the last 20 years, not warmer, which meant, well, if we call it climate change, gets hot, gets cold, doesn't matter. It's your fault and you can pay for it. No one is simply a hero or villain. Bill and Ted still excellent at 30. Trump declares emergency to fund wall. Banned terrorist group poses new threat to UK. Al Mujaroon comes back to life after extremists leave prison. Why aren't they deported? Because that would be sensible. FT. Inside the crackdown of China's Marxist students. How to spend it. Mobile groups told to fix not spots. Hard lesson. Schools out for climate strike. They're pushing that because it's bullshit. And everyone's sussing that out now. Barclays discussed Moscow rescue offer as it fought to head off Treasury bailout. Amazon U-turn sparks New York blame game. Don't waste your money, nothing in them. For my entire life, I've watched the corporate media sell us war after war, after telling us who our enemies are, which countries need saving and which government should be overthrown, and every single time it turns out they lied.